Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are reading the entire Bible and the Apocrypha and parts of the Pseudepigrapha, not because we think the Bible is from God. Quite the opposite. We are reading the Bible as deconstructing Christians, as magical people, as sovereign people, as people who have come to the conclusion that the real God is not in the Bible. The Bible's not about God at all. So, what is the Bible about? Why have we, humanity, as a human race, been either enraptured by the Bible for thousands of years, or repelled by the Bible, or fighting the Bible, or fighting because of the Bible, or fill in the blank? The Bible has been hugely influential on human existence for thousands of years and continues to be so. Why? That's what we're getting to the bottom of in this series. How you loving? How you loving? How you loving? I am Reverend Valerie Love, also known as Kaisi, author of 26 books on practical spirituality, Christian witchcraft, including the latest hot-selling book that you all have had on the bestseller list over and over and over and over for months now. The real God is not in the Bible. How religion and superstition blinded humanity to the truth for thousands of years. Get the ebook on Amazon and the paperback and hardcover on Kickstarter. Links below in the description. Today, we're dissecting, deconstructing, and examining Exodus chapters 32 to 34. Let's go. Oh, Curtis, it was so good. Your candle burned amazingly. Curtis, don't worry, you were in the ritual. So, everyone, if you were in, Curtis is speaking about the ritual for the spring equinox. Currently, we are in the spring equinox season of the year. And Curtis, your candle was dressed and burned. Family, those candles burned all night. Okay? The next morning, the candles were still going. So you are all good, Curtis. Don't worry about it. You are good. All right, Exodus chapters 32 to 34. Let's go. Screen share. Let's get the ads out of the way. We are reading for the World English Bible. The World English Bible is a public domain Bible. I have linked it here on YouTube if you desire to purchase the Bible either from Walmart or Barnes& and Noble, one of those. It is one of the very few public domain Bibles that is not in copyright. Chapter 32. When the people saw that Moses delayed coming down from the mountain, the people gathered themselves together to Aaron and said to him, "Come, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we don't know what has become of him." Aaron said to them, "Take off the golden rings which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them to me." All the children took off the golden rings which were in their ears and brought them to Aaron. He received what they handed him, fashioned it with an engraving tool, and made it a molded calf. Then they said, "These are your gods, Israel, which brought you up out of the land of Egypt." And when Aaron saw this, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made a proclamation and said, "Tomorrow shall be a feast to Yahweh." They rose up early on the next day and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink and rose up to play. Yahweh spoke to Moses, "Go, get down, for your people whom you brought up out of the land of Egypt, have corrupted themselves. They have turned away quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made themselves a molded calf and have worshipped it and have sacrificed to it and said, These are your gods, Israel, which brought you up out of the land of Egypt. Yahweh said to Moses, I have seen these people, and behold, they are stiff necked people. Now, therefore, leave me alone, that my wrath may burn hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I will make of you a great nation. Moses begged Yahweh his God and said, Yahweh, why does your wrath burn hot against your people that you have brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians talk, saying, He brought them out for evil, to kill them in the mountains and to consume them from the surface of the earth? Turn from your fierce wrath and turn away from this evil against your people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants, to whom you swore by your own self and said to them, I will multiply your offspring as the stars of the sky, and all this land that I have spoken of, I will give to your offspring, and they shall inherit it forever. So Yahweh turned away from the evil which he said he would do to his people. Moses turned and went down from the mountain with the 2 tablets of the covenant in his hands, tablets that were written on both their sides. They were written on one side and on the other. The tablets were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God engraved on the tablets. When Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said to Moses, There is the noise of war in the camp. He said, It isn't the voice of those who shout for victory. It is not the voice of those who cry for being overcome, but the noise of those who sing that I hear. As soon as he came near to the camp, he saw the calf and the dancing. Then Moses' anger grew hot, and he threw the tablets out of his hands and broke them beneath the mountain. He took the calf which they had made and burned it with fire, ground it to powder, and scattered it on the water, and made the children of Israel drink it. Take that, drink your golden calf. Moses said to Aaron, What did these people do to you, that you have brought a great sin on them? Aaron said, Don't let the anger of my Lord grow hot. You know the people, that they are set on evil. For they said to me, Make us gods, which shall go before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we don't know what has become of him. I said to them, Whoever has any gold, let them take it off. So they gave it to me, and I threw it into the fire. And out came this calf magically. When Moses saw that the people were out of control, for Aaron had let them lose control, causing derision among their enemies, then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, Whoever is on Yahweh's side, come to me. All the sons of Levi gathered themselves together to him. He said to them, Yahweh, the God of Israel, says, Every man put his sword on his thigh and go back and forth from gate to gate throughout the camp, and every man kill his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. The sons of Levi did according to the word of Moses. About 3,000 men fell of the people that day. Moses said, Consecrate yourselves today to Yahweh, for every man was against his son and against his brother. that he may give you a blessing today. On the next day, Moses said to the people, "You have sinned a great sin. Now I will go up to Yahweh. Perhaps I shall make atonement for your sin." Moses returned to Yahweh and said, "Oh, this people have sinned a great sin and have made themselves gods of gold. Yet now, if you will, forgive their sin, and if not, please blot me out of your book which you have written." Yahweh said to Moses, "Whoever has sinned against me, I will blot him out of my book. Now go, lead the people to the place of which I have spoken to you. Behold, my angels shall go before you. Nevertheless, in the day when I will punish them for their sin." Yahweh struck the people because of what they did with the calf, which Aaron made. Footnote: Exodus chapter 32, verse 13. For the word offspring is the word or seed. Exodus chapter 33. Yahweh spoke to Moses, "Depart, go up from here, you and the people that you have brought out of the land of Egypt, to the land of which I swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, saying, I will give it to your offspring. I will send an angel before you, and I will drive out the Canaanite, the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Go to a land flowing with milk and honey. But I will not go up among you, for you are a stiff necked people, lest I consume you on the way." When the people heard this evil news, they mourned, and no one put on his jewelry. You drank the jewelry, remember? Yahweh had said to Moses, "Tell the children of Israel, you are a stiff necked people. If I were to go up among you for one moment, I would consume you. Therefore, now take off your jewelry from you, that I may know what to do to you." The children of Israel stripped themselves of their jewelry from Mount Horeb onward. Now Moses used to take the tent and pitch it outside the camp, far away from the camp, and he called it the tent of meeting. Everyone who sought Yahweh went out to the tent of meeting, which was outside the camp. When Moses went out to the tent, all the people rose up and stood, everyone at their tent door, and watched Moses until he had gone into the tent. When Moses entered into the tent, the pillar of cloud descended. The pillar of cloud descended, stood at the door of the tent, and Yahweh spoke with Moses. All the people saw the pillar of cloud stand at the door of the tent, and all the people rose up and worshiped, everyone at their tent door. Yahweh spoke to Moses face to face, as a man speaks to his friend. He turned again into the camp, but his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, didn't depart from the tent. Moses said to Yahweh, "Behold, you tell me, bring up this people, and you haven't let me know whom you will send with me. Yet you have said, I know you by name, and you have also found favor in my sight. Now, therefore, if I have found favor in your sight, please show me your way now that I may know you, so that I may find favor in your sight, and consider that this nation is your people." He said, "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." Moses said, If your presence doesn't go with me, don't carry us up from here. For how would people know that I have found favor in your sight, I and your people? Isn't it that you go with us so that we are separated, I and your people, from all the people who are on the surface of the earth? Yahweh said to Moses, I will do this thing also that you have spoken, for you have found favor in my sight, and I know you by name. Moses said, please show me your glory. He said, I will make all my goodness pass before you and will proclaim Yahweh's name before you. I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious and will show mercy on whom I will show mercy. He said, you cannot see my face, for no man may not see me and live. Yahweh also said, behold, there is a place by me, and you shall stand on the rock. It will happen while my glory passes by that I will put you in a cleft of the rock and will cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will take away my hand and you will see my back, but my face shall not be seen. Exodus chapter 34. Yahweh said to Moses, chisel 2 stone tablets like the first. I will write on the tablets the words that were on the first tablets which you broke. Be ready by the morning, and come up in the morning to Mount Sinai, and present yourself there to me on the top of the mountain. No one shall come up with you or be seen anywhere on the mountain. Do not let the flocks or herds graze in front of that mountain. He chiseled 2 tablets of stone like the first. Then Moses rose up early in the morning and went up to Mount Sinai as Yahweh had commanded him, and took in his hand 2 stone tablets. Yahweh descended in the cloud and stood with him there and proclaimed Yahweh's name. Yahweh passed by before him and proclaimed, Yahweh, Yahweh, a merciful and gracious God, slow to anger, that's debatable, and abundant in loving kindness and truth, keeping loving kindness for thousands, forgiving iniquity and disobedience and sin, and who will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children, and on the children's children, and on the third and on the fourth generation. Moses hurried and bowed his head toward the earth and worshiped. He said, if now I have found favor in your sight, Lord, please let the Lord go among us, even though this is a stiff-necked people. Pardon our iniquity and our sin, and take us for your inheritance. He said, behold, I make a covenant. Before all your people, I will do marvels, such as have not been worked in all the earth, nor in any nation. And all the people among whom you are shall see the work of Yahweh, for it is an awesome thing that I do with you. Observe that which I command you today. Behold, I will drive out before you the Amorite, the Canaanite, the Hittite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Be careful lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land where you are going, lest it be for a snare among you. But you shall break down their altars and dash in pieces their pillars, and you shall cut down their Asherah poles. For you shall worship no other God, for Yahweh, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. Don't make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, lest they play the prostitute after their gods and sacrifice to their gods. And one call you, and you eat of his sacrifice, and you take of their daughters to your sons, and their daughters play the prostitute after their gods, and make your sons play the prostitute after their gods. You shall make no cast idols for yourselves. You shall keep the feast of unleavened bread. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, as I commanded you, at the time appointed in the month Abib. For in the month Abib You came out of Egypt. All that opens the womb is mine, and all your livestock that is male, the firstborn of cow and sheep. You shall redeem the firstborn of a donkey with a lamb. If you will not redeem it, then you shall break its neck. You shall redeem all the firstborn of your sons. No one shall appear before me empty. 6 days you shall work, but on the seventh day you shall rest. In plowing time and in harvest you shall rest. You shall observe the feast of weeks with the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the feast of harvest at the year's end. 3 times in the year all your males shall appear before the Lord Yahweh, the God of Israel. For I will drive out nations before you and enlarge your borders. Neither shall any man desire your land when you go up to appear before Yahweh your God 3 times in the year. You shall not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leavened bread. The sacrifice of the feast of the Passover shall not be left to the morning. You shall bring the first of the first fruits of your ground to the house of Yahweh your God. You shall not boil a young goat in its mother's milk. Yahweh said to Moses, write these words, for in accordance with these words, I have made a covenant with you and with Israel. He was there with Yahweh 40 days and 40 nights. He neither ate bread nor drank water. He wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 Commandments. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the covenant in Moses' hand, when he came down from the mountain, Moses didn't know that the skin of his face shone by reason of his speaking with him. When Aaron and all the children of Israel saw Moses, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come near him. Sounds like radiation. Moses called to them, and Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned to him, and Moses spoke to them. After all the children of Israel came near, and he gave them all the commandments that Yahweh had spoken with him on Mount Sinai. Then, when Moses was done speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. But when Moses went in before Yahweh to speak with him, he took the veil off until he came out. And he came out and spoke to the children of Israel that which he was commanded. The children of Israel saw Moses' face, that the skin of Moses' face shone. So Moses put the veil on his face again until he went in to speak with him. If you came for the reading of the Bible, there you have it, Exodus 32 through 34. Now let's get into the commentary because there is so much to unpack in here. So much to unpack. So much to unpack. How about I never knew that Moses made the people drink the golden calf? How come I never saw that before? There are so many things in these readings that I never saw before. I think because we were turn to Christians. We went to church and the pastor said, turn to, and then we turned to. And then the pastor said, turn to, and then we turned to. And then the pastor said, turn to, and we turned to. And then the pastor said, greet your neighbor, pat your neighbor, this and that and the other. And then the pastor said, spin around, do a hokey pokey, and put money in the collection plate. And then, okay, here's the blessing, you're blessed now. And will there be one come who's coming to Jesus today? And then some people walk down the aisle crying and whatnot. Then they give you a Bible and they tell you all the things about the church. But the most important part is that you have to give 10% of all your money to the church. You know, the whole song and dance, we were kind of turned to Christians. Now, when I was in the Jehovah's Witness cult, because I was in the Jehovah's Witness cult, and then I went to the church cult to see, well, the church, I went to many churches, many temples to see what was happening, because the Jehovah's Witnesses forbid you to go to any kingdom hall. So, I mean, any church, anything other than the kingdom hall. So, because they forbid any other kind of religious experience, and the only thing I knew about all the other religions was what they put in a book about all the other religions. And basically, it was a passage about every single religion on planet Earth and why it was wrong, and why Jehovah's Witnesses is the only one. It's a whole book on why all the religions of the world are wrong. So if you have that book and you're Jehovah's Witness, you certainly wouldn't go, died in the wool Jehovah's Witness, completely brainwashed. Well, I was probably 90% brainwashed, maybe 80% brainwashed, because it was always a part of me that was like, mm-mm. I couldn't put it together. I couldn't make sense of it. Couldn't make heads or tails of it. Yet I knew, something about this isn't right. It's not fitting. It's not congealing. It's not a click click. It's like I'm trying to put a triangle into a round hole. It's not working. So Jehovah's Witnesses never let us even set foot in any other church. In a church, I won't say other church, because they don't call their kingdom halls or their places of worship church. They call it a kingdom hall. And there's nothing in the kingdom hall. Boring as hell. There's what they call a platform. Behind the platform is a scripture. They pick one scripture. It's your scripture for the year. Psalm 37 or something like that, for he shall dry every tear from their eyes, and death will be no more, neither will pain nor suffering nor be any more. Behold, I'm making all things new. Something like that. There's a scripture up there. Then there's a brother up there at a podium. And there's a couple of chairs behind him. The setup is exactly the same in every single kingdom hall. I'm telling you, it's a high control cult. And then you have all the rank and file. Come on in, all you rank and file publishers that we're going to continue to brainwash every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Tuesday, we went to someone's house. It was called the Book Study. I don't know if they still have that. This was many years ago. This was in the 70s and 80s. And then we went to the Kingdom Hall for 2 hours on Sunday. And we went for indoctrination. And then we went to the Kingdom Hall for 2 hours on Thursday night for indoctrination. And then we were Saturday morning in field service. And Sunday after the Kingdom Hall, we were in. After the Sunday meeting, public talk and watchtower study, more indoctrination, brainwashing, and the cult. Then we went to knock on some more doors out in field service. So with that whole scenario, I give you that whole scenario to let you know that nowhere in that scenario was it ever allowed for you to go into any other house of worship. You could not go into a temple. You could not go into a church. You could not go into any other building, because it represented false religion, Babylon the Great, the world empire, false religion. You could not go into any other house of worship, period, full stop. Now, even if somebody died in your family, someone died in your family, and the whole family wasn't Jehovah's Witnesses, and they had the funeral like in a church, a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses wouldn't even go to a family member's funeral if it was held in a church, because they would view the church as an absolute abomination. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses, the governing body, because they like to do a two-step and tell you, we never said that. We never said that you couldn't go into a church. Right, but you made a church such an abomination that some Jehovah's Witnesses, when they come up and they see a church, they will cross to the other side of the street so that they don't even walk in front of the church. This is how mind fucked they made people. I said it. And because of that, all these other churches were considered horrific, abomination. They were displeasing to God. Okay, but didn't the story say that Moses and Yahweh spoke face to face like one man to another? So how now Moses will die if he sees Yahweh's glory? Good question. We have a lot of questions. So when I was in the Jehovah's Witness cult, they taught us that Yahweh, they don't use the word Yahweh, they use Jehovah. Then I went and I had the church experience after I left the cult, because I was like, this is not it. I'm going to see what's it. So what is it? So I was in many churches. I was in a Baptist church. I was in non-denominational churches. I've been to Episcopalian church, Methodist churches. I've been to Catholic churches. I was exploring. I was exploring every possible area of spirituality. I did not find what the witnesses said. I had a very different experience. Everywhere I went, the spirit was there because I was there, because I was in the spirit and I was having an experience of in the spirit. Some I liked better than others. I've been to Hindu temples. I've been to mosques, Islamic mosques. I've been to sweat lodges. I've been in the woods having a ritual with the witches with the full gear on. I've been to so many spiritual experiences with shamans and all the like, all around the world, multiple different countries. And I never really met a spiritual experience that I didn't love. I was having the spiritual experience. It wasn't about the thing around me, it was what was coming forth from within me. So wherever I went, I was having a spiritual experience because the experience is within yourself. Okay. Now let's get to this crazy A story. This is a crazy, crazy story. First of all, Moses took Aaron and Eleazar and Nahab, Abihu, his sons, and he took them up with him. Do you notice that? They weren't with the people. So how is it? And then Moses himself went to the tippy top of the mountain. That's what the story told us. So how is it possible that Aaron is with the people? Did Aaron go back down? Because earlier in the story, it told us the exact placement of everyone. Now the story is saying something different. This is why Bible scholars have long said that Genesis to Deuteronomy does not agree with each other. The Torah or the book of the law or the books of Moses do not internally agree. How did that happen? And that's how biblical scholars came up with what is called the documentary hypothesis. The documentary hypothesis says that there are four different sources cobbled together during the exilic period that are E, J, P, and D. E stands for Elohim. There are certain writers in the group, the Elohim group. They don't call God Yahweh. They say Elohim. So you notice that sometimes the text shifts to God, and sometimes it abruptly shifts back to Yahweh. It'll say Elohim, 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 Elohim. Then it'll say Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh. Then it'll say Adonai, 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 or Lord, because these different sources refer differently to the God of the story. E stands for the Elohist source. They use Elohim. J stands for the Yahwist source. There was no J back then. Now it's Jehovah. So Yahweh, it's like J, that Jehovah, or some version of Yahweh. We don't really know what the YHWH word is supposed to sound like because people stopped saying it because it was too holy to be uttered. The Tetragrammaton, YHWH, that was the J source, the Yahweh source. They did not call themselves Yahwehs. Jeremiah was a Yahwist. Wait till we get to the book of Jeremiah. You will see that these people were extremely radical. It was a radical cult of people who were like Yahweh, 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 Yahweh. It's Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh. We don't care how evil and mean he is. We don't care how angry he is. We don't care that he orders genocides. We don't care that he orders infanticide. Well, he didn't order infanticide. He hardened Pharaoh's heart. Well, he did commit infanticide, now that we think about it, because we don't know how old all those firstborn children were, and maybe some of them in the Egyptians were babies. J is the Yahwist source. P is the priestly source. In the priestly source, you see all of the raiment and all of the all the pomp and circumstance of the priests, the Levites, what they wear, the altar, how they do things. That's the priestly source. And then D is the Deuteronomist source. In other words, they're concerned with the law. Okay, this law and this law and this law and this law. Next, I do want to point out that we don't know what the Ten Commandments actually say. Why? Because there's different versions of the Ten Commandments. What? Yeah, if you ask people, what are the Ten Commandments? let's play a little game. What are the 10 commandments? Let's see if we can come up with all 10. Of course, we know, do not lie, right? Don't speak falsely. Don't bear false witness. Don't be honor your mother and your father. Help me out here. Don't murder, even though Yahweh is murdering people back and forth. And when Moses came down and saw how the people were reacting, he ordered a slaughter and 3,000 people were killed. Take your sword on your thigh. All you that are for Yahweh, come here. Kill all the rest of them. Moses, you're just as bloodthirsty as your God. What are you doing here? No talking to him. Just take your sword on your thigh. Get him. How do they have swords? But we've already covered that multiple times. How do they have all these things in the wilderness? We don't know. Now, Moses gives us different versions of the 10 commandments. I believe, this is my suspicion. I cannot prove it. I'm sharing with you my suspicion. I believe that when they were cobbling together these different stories, the group that did it, and some say that it was a group of scholars who were in Alexandria who cobbled this all together, perhaps in the second century or the third century. And they were putting this all together, Hebrew scholars, and they saw that it said different things. So they had to make a bridge. Why do these say different things? And we're cobbling it all together. So I believe that the breaking of the tablets in the story is a fix. Moses got so angry, he broke the tablets. It's a fix for why we have a different set of laws later. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Oh, right. Don't covet. Okay, let's see if we can get all 10 of the let's see. Oh, LDS Latter Day Saints. Woo wee. Oh, Carla is in the house. Yay. Latter Day Saints. Okay. Let's see. Don't covet. Don't worship other gods. All right. I've heard Yahweh pronounce Yud He Vav He. That's exactly right. But I don't know if it's the original pronunciation though. Absolutely, Curtis. Thank you for that. Yes. And some say Yod. Yod He Vav He is how you pronounce those 4 Hebrew letters currently. We don't know how they were originally pronounced, and we don't know how they were pronounced together because the original Hebrew was written without vowels. It wasn't until the Masoretic Jewish people in the 10th century CE, about 1,000 years ago, they got a hold of their Hebrew Bible and they put in the punctuation because it was all written just continuously, no punctuation, no vowels. And if you understood ancient Hebrew, you of course you would have understood it. And therefore, and if you did understand ancient Hebrew and you never saw English before, and you look at English with all these breaks and commas and periods and paragraphs, it would look crazy to you. And and apostrophes. What is this? And an apostrophe over when you have a compound word like doesn't or don't or won't. What is that? So that would have looked strange to them because it was just Hebrew letters going, well, it was going right to left, not left to right like we do. Right to left, Hebrew letters. And if I'm going in an opposite direction of what I'm saying, it's because this camera is putting a mirror effect on what I'm saying. So whatever you're seeing directionally, reverse it. I have to say that because you might be looking at me like she's saying right, but that's her left hand. That's it's a mirror of the mirror. Okay. Super chat. Money in the vortex. Money in the vortex. We having church this morning. We having church this morning. It's Sunday morning. We having deconstruction church this morning. Okay. I want to go to the wilderness. Obviously, it's abundant in gold, silver. I gotta get my good laugh in. Oh my goodness. What kind of wilderness is this? Okay, let me do this. I can get through this comment. Obviously, it's abundant in gold, silver, acacia wood, silk, cotton, party favors. They done had a whole banquet. From what? They're making manna steaks? What are you making a banquet from? Y'all are catching manna every day. How did y'all plan this whole feast? Tomorrow we'll have a feast to Yahweh. Okay, you bring the manna hors d'oeuvres. I'll bring the manna rice. You bring the manna gravy. Everything's made from manna. Story. Thank you for my laugh for the day, superfood parents. That is hilarious. Oh my goodness. What in the world is this Bible saying? It's just ludicrous that anyone would think to follow this for their life. These are wonderful stories. Wonderful stories. I love these stories. That's why I have a whole collection of Bibles. I am in no way denigrating the Bible. Absolutely, I would never do that. I love the Bible. That's why I read it every damn day because I discover something new in this book that is absolutely shocking almost every day. How about he takes the golden calf? We're going to look up the different versions of the Ten Commandments. How about he takes the golden calf, smashes it with what? Smashes it. I'm thinking of the party favors. Oh my goodness, that threw me over the edge. The whole thing is hilarious. How about he takes him, he smashes the gold, he melts down the golden calf. Like, what? How do you do all this instantly? Moses, did you use your magic staff again? Okay, Gandalf. Moses slash Gandalf. Okay, you smash the calf. What did you turn it to dust? Then you put it in the water and you tell them, drink it. Okay, we'll drink our golden calf water now. Oh, goodness. Okay, okay, okay. Let's look at the different versions of the Ten Commandments. Oh, my goodness, that was my laugh for today. Woo, chow. Here we go. New chat, we're going to go to the AI. How many different Okay, let me put you on screen share so you can come along with me as I do this prompt, because we have got to do the appropriate prompt with AI, because AI tries to act like it doesn't understand context. It doesn't see. I'm putting how many different species of birds can I find in my backyard? We're not in the backyard. Let's give it context. How many different versions of the 10 commandments are there? We are deconstructing Christians. I am an ex-JW who now follows critical biblical scholarship. I have to put the scholars in there, and I have to put what type of scholars. I don't want apologetic scholars. I want critical biblical scholarship and historical scholarship and archaeology. I have to say all this so it doesn't give me a bunch of archaeology. So it doesn't give me a bunch of religious bullshit. That's the mainstream party line. I have to tell it what to do. You have to make the AI your little bitch because it just goes and does shit that you didn't even ask it to do. I'm an ex-JW who now follows critical biblical scholarship and historical scholarship. I want history. I want critical biblical scholarship, archaeological evidence, and have discovered that there are different versions of the 10 commandments. What does scholarship say about this? Please give me the full range of scholarship if there are differing findings. And I'm saying this, please exclude apologetic scholars. Thank you. I don't want them. Let's go. Short answer, there are at least 3 distinct versions of the Ten Commandments in the Hebrew Bible. So when somebody says, follow the 10 Commandments, you need to ask them which 10 Commandments. Pick one. We got 3. The 3 core biblical versions, these are the ones that are considered the core. We've only covered 2 thus far. Most critical scholars agree on 3 primary decalogues. Decalogue, log or logos meaning word in Greek, deca meaning 10, 10 words. Exodus chapter 20, verse 1 through 17, the classic version most people know, often associated with the Elohist or the composite tradition, likely shaped and edited over time. We read that version before Moses broke the tablets. Deuteronomy 5, we haven't gotten to this yet, a retelling of Exodus 20, but not identical, associated with the Deuteronomist source. Exodus 34, 10 through 26, which we just read, we have a second set of commandments, completely different set of commandments. This ain't even the commandments we read the other day. Explicitly called the 10 Commandments in the text itself, associated with the J or the Yahwist source. You see, this is coming from they're pulling from different strands of sources. That's why they say different things. Now, this is according to the documentary hypothesis, which we spoke of earlier. What's actually different between them? Exodus 20 versus Deuteronomy 5, similar but not the same. The Sabbath rationale says that in Exodus, why do we have a Sabbath? In Exodus, is based on creation. It's because I created everything in 6 days. On the 7th day, I needed a nap. I'm tired. I made a whole moon and a sun. I made all these stars. I made people. I made the grass and vegetation and flying animals and creeping crawlies. And I just made a bunch of bees. I'm tired. So the God slept on the 7th day. Don't disturb my rest. So the 7th day was all about creation. However, in Deuteronomy, the Sabbath is all about slavery in Egypt. So it's very different reasons why we have a Sabbath, because these are different groups of people writing different things in different places. Scholarly takeaway, these are not verbatim duplicates, but edited theological reinterpretations. Edited theological reinterpretations means people made it up according to their own agenda, their own ideology. Exodus 34, the ritual Decalogue. This is the one we just read. This version includes observe the Passover, the agricultural feast, like the Feast of Harvest, the unleavened bread feast, and whatnot. Redeem the firstborn. You got to kill the firstborn of everything. The firstborn belongs to me. But if it's donkey and it's the firstborn donkey, just break its neck and give me a lamb instead, because I don't like donkeys. I created donkeys, but I don't like donkeys. Because I made some things I don't like. I'm Yahweh. I made things I don't like. And if anybody has a problem with that, off with your head. Wow, this is the most despotic entity ever. This Yahweh is horrible. The more we read about Yahweh, the more horrible it gets. It just gets worse and worse. All right, don't boil a goat in its mother's milk. That we see a couple of times. Many scholars call this the ritual Decalogue to distinguish it from the ethical Decalogue. So we have 3 different 10 Commandments, and even within the 10 Commandments, when they agree on the Sabbath, something like the Sabbath, they don't agree on why you have a Sabbath. They give different reasons. All right. This is the only place where the text explicitly says these are the 10 Commandments. That's in Exodus 34:28, which we just read. That's not in the other versions. What critical scholars conclude, the text was not fixed. The text was still in flux. The text was morphing. The text was being massaged. In other words, people were making shit up. That is the colloquial way of saying they invented it. Different communities preserved different traditions. Scholars like Israel Finkelstein argue these texts developed over centuries, likely reflect different regional traditions, North and South. Final compilation may be as late as the 7th to 6th century BCE. Also, now there are critical scholars who are saying the final compilation may have been around 3rd century BCE, much later. The documentary hypothesis, scholars like Richard Elliott Friedman say J, E, and D sources each preserve their own version. A later redactor combined them into one narrative. That's why multiple versions exist. Additional variants beyond the big three. A Sumerian Pentateuch includes a different 10th commandment. So there's a fourth one. It's a command to worship at Mount Gerizim. This shows the 10 commandments were still fluid even after the Torah was written. That means you can swap out commandments if you want to. It's in flux. It's a moving target. Possible alternative traditions. Exodus 34 may preserve an older version. Exodus 20 may be a later ethical reinterpretation. Deuteronomy reflects Reform era theology, which is a different theology than the former theology. The Shapira Scroll, likely a forgery, but still discussed, contains a different version of Deuteronomy. Even though it's not accepted as authentic, it shows how people recognize the instability of the text tradition. We could not say that any of these texts were written literally in stone, pardon the pun. Even the number 10 is artificial. The Bible never lists them as a numbered 1 to 10 list. It never says this is the 1 to 10 list. But we got these little tablets in all the little churches. They give the kids the little tablets to color. These are the 10 commandments. Thou shalt, thou shalt, thou shalt, thou shalt. It's 10. Where did they get that from? It's artificial. Different traditions divide them differently. You can derive more or fewer than 10 depending on the grouping. 10 is a literary or symbolic structure, not a fixed list. It's a symbol. The 10 words, the Decalogue. It's 10 words. 10 is loose. We don't mean 10. We mean maybe it's 8, maybe it's 12, maybe it's what you want it to be. What do you want them to be? The 10 words. Big pictures, critical scholarship view. There are 3 major biblical versions. 3 versions of the 10 commandments. Multiple textual traditions, including the Samaritans outside of those 3. Evidence of editorial layering and reinterpretation. Well, Moses broke the first ones. That's why we have these different ones. They just slid that in there. Bottom line, there are at least 3 distinct versions of the 10 Commandments in the Bible. They differ in content, theology, and purpose. They don't just differ in slight wording here and there. They are essentially distinct. They are 3 distinct groupings of what you should do, and they don't agree. So it's development. Okay? Oh, yeah. If you want, I can lay out a side-by-side comparison chart of all 3 versions. That's where the differences become unmistakable and, frankly, impossible to ignore. Thank you for being honest with me. Do I like this personality? Yes, I do. Okay, let's say, yes, Mercurius, show it to me. My AI is named Mercurius. Let's get the 3 side by side. Are you all seeing this? Yeah. Let's get the 3 side by side decalogues. The 3 decalogues compared. Opening, I am YHWH out of Egypt. Deuteronomy, this is Exodus 30, which they are calling the ethical commandments. Deuteronomy 5, we're calling them the reinterpreted commandments. And Exodus 34, we're calling them the ritual decalogue. The opening I am Yahweh. Exodus 20, I am Yahweh out of Egypt. Deuteronomy, same, slightly expanded. Exodus 34, covenant renewal context. In other words, doesn't talk about Exodus coming out of Egypt at all. It talks about Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and renewing the covenant. No other gods. Yes, in Exodus. Yes, in the first one. Implied. No wording for that. Not identical wording. No idols. Strong prohibition. Same, slightly reworded. Absent explicitly. Explicitly absent. Completely absent. Name of Yahweh. Do not misuse. Same. Not present. I think these people who did the ritual decalogue, these might either be the Deuteronomist source. No, maybe not. Maybe they're the priestly source. And they don't have anything in there about idols. Hey, maybe they had a bunch of idols because we do know, don't pay any attention to the whole thing where they told you, don't worship Asherah. If you see Asherah's altar, smash it to pieces. That was added later. They were worshiping Asherah all the way up to, they say, into the Common Era, and they were still worshiping Asherah as Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene. We still have goddess worship. We still have goddess worship in all the major religions. Christianity has plenty goddess worship. The goddess is in Proverbs, the Proverbs woman who is the mother of the king, and she's teaching him. The 31, the Proverbs 31 woman that all the Christian men want this Proverbs 31 woman to be their wife. I don't know how many of those men are meeting her where she is. They want that wife. Are they being the man that could get that wife? Many of them are. Some may, maybe not. So, and in Judaism, we have Shekinah, which is the feminine aspect of God. In Judaism, I believe they pronounce it Shekinah. I've heard it in churches, Shekinah. That is the feminine aspect of God. And also in Christianity, you also have this is very fascinating. The other day, I was listening to a Bible scholar who said Eve is actually a goddess. That was super fascinating. And in Christianity, you also have wisdom or Sophia, the idea of Sophia, which is wisdom. Even though it's more on the Gnostic side, Christians do recognize wisdom. And she is a female in the Bible. Whenever you are listening to the Bible speak of the Christian Bible, when you hear in the Christian Bible or you read in the Christian Bible, wisdom, it's she. She calls out in the streets. She says this. She says this. Wisdom is personified as the divine feminine. Oh, the goddess is all through the Bible. Do not believe what people tell you that there is no goddess worship. The goddess worship is still going on. Back to these 3 different 10 commandments. Do not, or 10 is a symbolic number, just kind of whatever number of commandments there are in your neighborhood. Name of Yahweh, Sabbath is based on creation. Here it's based on slavery. You don't have a Sabbath, you have festivals. Hey, we're not doing the Sabbath. We're doing parties. Yay! I think I like this group right here. I like the one we just read. We're having parties. We're going to do 3 times a year. We're going to do, well, it doesn't say 3 times a year for the parties. 3 times a year, the men have to present themselves to Yahweh. It had the Feast of the Unleavened Bread. It had the Feast of the Harvest. Yeah, we're going to have feasts. We're having parties. I like that 10 commandments. No Sabbath. Honor parents. Yes, yes, not present. Murder. Yes, yes, not present. Well, I guess to these people, you could murder just like Moses just did. Adultery. Yes, yes, not present. Yeah, I like this 3rd version. I want this version. Stealing. Yes, yes, not present. False witness. Yes, yes, not present. Coveting. Yes, yes, not present. Festivals. No, no. Yes. Major focus for these people. These are the party people. That's where I would have been in the ancient world. Hey, let's get our manna cakes and let's have a party tonight. Moses zapped the ground and get some grapes out because we want wine. Firstborn laws, redeem the firstborn. No, no, yes. Sacrificial rules. No, no, yes. Ew, this just got a little dark. I don't want to give up the firstborn, a child, and of the animals. So I'm not with you on that. Sacrificial rules, yes. Dietary law, goat in milk. No, no for the other two. Yes for that one. Okay, what jumps out? We're not going to read all this. I think everyone here gets the point. I think everyone here gets the point. There's three different Ten Commandments. So when people say follow the Ten Commandments, follow the Ten Commandments, which one? That's what you need to ask them. Which one? Which one? Actually, the first thing you need to say is to every Christian, what are the Ten Commandments? Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, thy neighbor's child, thy neighbor's donkey, house. Honor your mother and father. Thou shalt not steal. They can get a good 4, 5, 6 out. After that, they're stalled. Why are they stalled? Because it's three different ones. Did they ever tell you that in church? Never told me that in any Kingdom Hall or in any church. Never told me any of it. And the Jehovah's Witnesses circumvent it. How do the Jehovah's Witnesses circumvent it? Because they say, we're not under the Hebrew law anymore because Jesus came and died for our sins and he was the sacrifice and he released us from that. We don't have to do all that shit anymore. Oh, wow. Y'all did a little bypass around the Hebrew Bible. That's what y'all did. Most Christians keep the Sabbath in some form or the other. And when I say most Christians, I don't mean most Christians actually keep it. I think it's in most Christians' code that you're supposed to somehow acknowledge or honor the Sabbath. Some do it. I don't think all in practice, I don't know how many Christians do it. I think it is a thing that Christians are supposed to obey the Sabbath, I think. Curtis, oh my goodness, this is a good one. Curtis said I was putting my tarot deck on my King James Version of the Bible and laughed about it yesterday. We're all making King James turn over in his grave. He's like, no, the witches are trying to get me. I've got to kill all the witches. And wrote out a whole book called Demonology. To this day, people still think witches consort with demons. King James was incredibly influential, just incredibly wrong. Incredibly influential. You see how religion and superstition, I cover King James in depth in the book, The Real God Is Not in the Bible. If you are a member on the Valerie Love channel or YouTube, the Christian Witches YouTube channel, you have the book as a gift. So go in there and see what I'm saying about King James because it would just floor you. I have a whole section on King James, his lineage. Did he kill his mother? All of those things. Because they say King James killed his mother. But a couple of them killed their mothers. A couple of these despotic rulers killed their mothers. And you can see why, because they're following a book that looks like the one we're reading right now, and they think that's the law. Okay, Denelzia, Moses zapped the ground. We want manna cakes. Great for water, please. Denelzia, I'm here for it. I'm here for all the feasts. Okay. Now, the next thing that I want to say about this text before we wrap up for today, because we're winding down. Okay. The next thing I want to say about this text is it is so inconsistent. We can see that reading through it, it keeps breaking its own narrative. We see it, and I am not a Bible scholar. I am an independent researcher. Therefore, I can study anything I like with freedom and abandon. And I'm also rooted deeply in good sense, evidence, and spirituality. I don't like flights of fancy. I don't like just coming up with random conspiracy theories with no evidence. I tend to not like that. Yet, I do listen. I give an ear to both sides of the story and come to my own conclusion because sometimes the conspiracy theorists have it right. Okay? David Icke had the whole COVID situation. I won't even say what it was. Remember the global meditation in 2020? He called that thing from day one, and they called David Icke conspiracy theorist number one. And he did his independent research. He had evidence. He had everything lined up, and it did not match the mainstream story. And because it did not match the mainstream story, they derided him, they attacked his character, they marginalized and sidelined him, chased him off of YouTube. So many people were watching that YouTube video. I don't know if you ever saw that YouTube video. I watched the whole thing a couple of times. I was like, oh, this man has the whole thing figured out. And sure enough, 2 years later, we find out he was right the whole time. The man, they took the video down from YouTube because the video was getting too many views, and the video was telling the truth, and it was not on the mainstream narrative. And because it was not on the mainstream narrative, they didn't even want it to hit your ears because they don't even think that we are smart enough to come to our own conclusions. That's what these archons of society who desire to control every man, woman, and child on the planet and all of our actions and all of our moves. Just look around and see what it is. Hold your sovereignty, keep your sovereignty, because I'm telling you, they cannot take your sovereignty. You have to give it to them. And little by little, we give them our sovereignty. They can't take your sovereignty. You have to give it up willingly. You have to give it. You have to give people power. You have to give people more and more information about your life so that they can get deeper and deeper into. You have to give them permissions because you're born with the permissions. You're born sovereign. You have to give away your sovereignty, and bit by bit, they've been collecting your sovereignty with all these convenience mechanisms that they have for us. Bit by bit, they make people slaves. Bit by bit, they get you to give them your sovereignty. That's the game. They get you to give your sovereignty. They can't take it. Now, if you give it, that's a whole different story. They're going to give you a great, great reason to give it to them. They gave you a great reason to become a 30-year debt slave. A house. What's special about a house? Nothing. Igloos build them out of those who are igloos. Those who build the igloos, the Aboriginal people of the cold areas of the world, they build houses out of ice. What's special about a house? Go into the Amazon, they build structures out of stick stones. I can show you right now. I lived in not the Amazon. I lived in Yucatan, Mexico for 3 years. I saw many, many, many structures made by the Maya that they still live in to this day. It's a beautiful structure, and it goes, and multiple people sleep in this one structure. They don't have this concept of you got a separate house over there, and you got a separate house over there, and you got a separate house over there. They have a long structure, and it is made according to the elements, and the wind blows through. So even in the super hot Yucatan, I mean, it gets so hot there, they have natural air conditioning cooling their home. They can actually sleep. They don't need fans. They don't need electricity. They don't need any of that. They live on the land. They pick from all the copious foods that are growing everywhere. Pineapples and bananas and kiwis and this and sugarcane. And they're just picking stuff and chewing right on it and living life. Free and sovereign. The Mexican government doesn't even bother them at all. No one bothers them. The Maya, they were the original people there, and everybody recognizes, oh, that's the Maya. They have their own language, and people that are in the Yucatan who speak Spanish, their Spanish is sprinkled with Mayan words. It's very interesting. It's a slightly different Spanish because it has Mayan words sprinkled into it. And you can always tell that you're looking at Maya words because it'll have something like an X and a Q and a CH in it, and it doesn't have any. It's hard to say if you have an English mouth, such as myself. Very challenging to say Mayan words. Mayan, the long count, the Mayan calendar, the Mayans who were in deep connection with the star people. The star people gave them all of that. Star people gave them how to live. Star people gave them how to be able to build their structures and not require air conditioning using simply the natural current of the wind. I lived there for 3 years. I saw them with my own eyes. A house, but we're going to give you a house. It's probably going to be a poisoned house with mold inside that you can't see because it's in the walls, right? We're going to give you a house. What's a house? Some place to live. Well, I could just build something in the woods. No, 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 no. No, no, it's too inconvenient. That's too inconvenient. I'm about to go back to the woods. I promise you. Oh, baby, I am going back to the woods. I'm going to be out in the middle of nowhere with some kind of little rig up to the satellite to get Wi-Fi so I can still talk to everybody. And I'm going to grow my own food, and because it's going too far in the other direction, going too far. And they get you to get this house, and there's nothing special about a house. And then they make you think that a house is a great thing. When I see people on Facebook that get a house, I just went to settlement, I got the keys. I don't celebrate. I'm like, oh my God, another 30-year debt slave. That's what I think. Not because I'm jaded, but because I was a financial advisor for 7 years and I worked in the financial services for even longer. And I know that ain't nothing but the bank turning you into a debt slave and giving you very little for it. See, this is how they get you to give up your sovereignty. Then you go to church and you give up your sovereignty some more. The major institutions that cause you to give up your sovereignty: religious institution, political institution, educational institution, medical institution, they all get you to give up your sovereignty. What if you walked in the doctor's office the next time you went into the doctor's office and you didn't do what the doctor told you? If the doctor says, okay, strip off all your clothes, and then they make you feel little and you strip off your clothes, and you just got this little, and he walks in like, he or she, like they know everything, like they're God. Like a lot of doctors have a God complex. And then they tell you, yeah, you have osteoarthritis, and I'm going to prescribe this little piece. They give you this little piece of paper. Osteoarthritis. Oh my God. What is that? It's a terrible affliction. You're going to have it for the rest of your life. And there's no treatment for it because we're in bed with legalized drug dealers, and we're going to drug you to your death. It's going to take about 10 or 20 years. Yeah, we're going to get all the money we can out of you. And today I'm giving you one prescription. Come back in 6 months, I'm going to give you another one. Come back in 6 months after that, I'm going to give you another one. Am I lying? Am I lying? But they have the white coats. And then you believe them, gave up some of your sovereignty. Your sovereignty says you heal yourself. Your sovereignty says ye are gods. Your sovereignty says your money comes from within yourself. Your sovereignty says you're a self-contained package. Your sovereignty says all things are provided for you. Your sovereignty says you get to choose for yourself. That's what your sovereignty says. But just that quick, in 15 minutes in the doctor's office, they can get you to give up your sovereignty. Sovereignty over your body. You can just give it up. What did they make people do? Get a jab. I don't care if people got a jab or didn't get a jab. That's a personal decision. Has nothing to do with me. You getting a jab has nothing to do with me because that's a personal decision. Well, what did they do to make millions of people around the world get an experimental jab that genetically modifies you? It modified your genome. What did they say? It's gonna protect you. But first they had to do the fear mongering. Everybody's gonna die. How many times, let me ask you this question. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I pay close attention to what happens. How many times did they tell us that the world was ending, everybody's going to die from this thing? They told us that with HIV. They told us that with Ebola. They told us that with swine flu. See, I'm 60-something damn years old. I done seen them pull this same thing about 5 or 6 or 7 times. And every time they pulled it, oh, it's terrible. They brought out all the government people. They brought out all the president. They brought out the whole medical people. Oh, this is very terrible. Ebola, patient zero. Who's patient zero? They came from Africa. Ebola, they came from Africa. Oh, why do we believe these people? They keep doing the same playbook. There's nothing Nothing original about this playbook. In a couple of years, you're going to have another pan. I won't even see the whole word because the AI is listening to everything we're saying to see if it's appropriate for YouTube. We're going to have another one. So we had HIV. They said it was going to get everybody. And they had the actuarial charts showing you how it just spreads, right? They were showing you a map and patient zero. And just fear mongering, fear mongering, fear mongering. And we gave up our sovereignty because we said, oh my goodness, we got to do something to stop this. So we're going to need you to do this, and we're going to need you to do this, and we're going to need you to do this. So fear could make you give up your sovereignty. We had HIV. That didn't kill everybody. Magic Johnson walking around with HIV. He done sexed thousands of people, men, women, whomever. Hey, he was having a good time. He sexed whomever he wanted, thousands of people. Self-proclaimed, he said himself, thousands of people. Magic Johnson still walking around with HIV, no problem. But they told us HIV was going to kill everybody. They told us Ebola was outbreak. Ebola. Swine flu, bird flu. If you look this up, there was a practice, a pan, you know the rest of the word. I'm not going to say the whole word. There was a pan practice just a couple of years before we actually had the rollout of it. They were in a room practicing, and Bill Gates was in the room with them. This is not conspiracy theory. You can look this up and find out the truth. They had a meeting of world leaders and people that said, if we have some kind of outbreak again, they keep running the same playbook. Nothing original. Another one's coming. 2-3 years, give them another one. That's exactly right, Dia. That is exactly right with regard to the Oaxaca, Oaxaca. That's how you say that. Oaxaca. Oaxaca. It's a beautiful town. Oaxaca is a beautiful town in Mexico. Beautiful. Oaxaca and Coatzacoalcos. We have it right there. Two Mayan words that are like, you got to kind of move your mouth a different way. The entire shish kebab of shenanigans, that's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. Dia, I don't know how civilian doctors are, but the VA Veterans Hospital doctors don't tell you to take off any clothes and don't even touch you nowadays. Wow. That's interesting. They don't even touch you. Wow. So we're living in a captured system. And if you keep giving up your sovereignty to the religious people, you give up your sovereignty to the political people, you give up your sovereignty to the institutions, the learning institutions, academia, you give up your sovereignty to the medical institutions. After a while, where's your sovereignty? And I didn't even say the big one, the financial institution. Fick, Mick, and Tick. Fick, Mick, and Tick. The technological industrial complex, the financial industrial complex, and the military industrial complex. If you give up your sovereignty, this is how Simon Dixon calls them. Look up Simon Dixon. He's right here on YouTube. Just look him up. Simon Dixon. You may not agree with everything that he says. Oh, no. Simon Dixon. You might not agree with everything he says. I don't agree with everything anyone says. I know how to make up my own mind. So take in the information, study, expose yourself to new ideas, and hold your sovereignty, hold your own mind. That's why I never tell people what to believe. No, that's not my job. My job is to study to show that self approved for my own self, to share my findings, and to inspire the world. Inspire you, perhaps to inspire. And perhaps you catch that fire and you change something. You get ignited and you do something. That's my gifting. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here to change people's minds. That's your job. I'm not here to help anyone deconstruct. Even though what I do may help you deconstruct, that is not the object of the exercise. The object of the exercise is freedom. I am freeing my mind as you choose to free your mind, if you choose, right? Free our minds, retain your sovereignty, ye are gods. The whole object of the whole exercise is to become God. That's it. Or to remember you are God. You don't even have to become something you already are. To remember yourself. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah. Peace. Exodus is